Okay, so I have started recording. And before we start the meeting, I will say a word of prayer. So bow your heads and we'll just say a word of prayer now. Loving Father, we thank you so much for the means that you have given us that we can meet electronically in our homes in this very challenging period of history where we have this very small virus, but it's making a very big impact to our lives. And Lord, help us to remain as a community to serve you in Jesus' name. Amen. So again, welcome to our meeting and thank you very much for coming. We really appreciate you being here. I'm just going to introduce you to a number of people on the team. So the first person, and you may know them, so you'll just see, if I introduce you, can you just put your little hand up, with the real reaction? So I'll just introduce you to Patricia Gonzalez. She is our stewardship director. And then I'm going to introduce you to Deanne DeBerg. Deanne DeBerg leads our church's team. And so she works at the conference and she's doing a great job there. Natalie Lopez is also one of the senior members of our team and she's with us tonight as well. And I have Penny Fang, who is also part of the team. And she's with us as well. And Meliofa, you would know her as the person who looks after our tithes and offerings. So she's the person that you might be speaking to when you come to the conference. And finally, I'll introduce you to my friend Richard Harrell, who is somewhere here, I believe. So thank you very much for coming. And we will now, as I said in our opening remarks, the reason why we're having this meeting is we really do value all the things that you are doing for your local church. You know that the treasury function in the local church is a critical function, and we cannot survive without our treasurers at our local church. And certainly the conference really values what you do and really appreciates what you do. So, and obviously we are living in unprecedented times, and we know that we are facing a significant challenge in how we do our roles at our local church. We aren't collecting a real offering. Our offerings that we're collecting are virtual offerings, and it's just unusual for us to do this. Now I have muted. Okay, so now the next thing is that I'd like to now ask Patricia and Richard to talk about tithes and offerings and some of the initiatives that we've done to help us with continuing our tithes and offerings. So I'll ask Richard and Patricia, if you can unmute yourselves, you should be able to do that.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm handing the meeting over to you two.
Thank you. Yes, it's an unprecedented time. We haven't lived anything similar to this before. And I believe it's the first time that I see 72 treasurers together. At the same time that I'm sad with what we're living right now, I am pleased that we are able as a church to see that we are united. We are all together in this. And one thing that reminds me every time that I read the Bible, especially that I have been reading the Bible, the Old Testament at the moment, it has shown me that in the Old Testament, in the New as well, every time the people of Israel faced something extremely hard, that what God asked them to do was to repent, okay, to be faithful to Him, and to trust in Him. So in the time that we're living right now, it is time for us to repent, to put our faith in God. And when we say faith, I'm saying faith in regards to everything that we do and everything we have. And also, it's important for us to trust in God. So It is a time that we need to put our trust in God. So yes, we are facing a lot of hard times at the moment, and I believe you guys as well as treasurers at your local church aren't find easy to go through this process, because a lot of our members have lost their jobs. Has been hard for us to congregate as well. Using technology is not for everyone. It's something new for a lot of people. But we're here as a conference to support you, to help you, to encourage you, and to do everything together as one. So one of the things as a conference that we have decided to have this meeting today, it's to show you how can we work together as one, and how can we support one another. Because this is a time on where we need to be faithful to God, continue like putting our trust in his hand. And I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about in everything we do, in the time that we spend with God and the things that we do at home. Also, still putting our talents in practice. It is extremely important during this time. It's not because we are at home that we should forget about mission. It's the other way around. That's when we should invest more, helping the community to find God through this process. So one of the things that we have been working together with the South Pacific Division and the Australian Union Conference is to create resources so we can support and help your ministry. And we have put everything online, all the resources that you can use to support your local church. It's all combined in one single website. I'll be write the website at the chat, so all of you can have access to that. You can find materials for personal ministries, for Sabbath school, for children's. You can find as well for health, but also stewardship. You can find a lot of material in regards to e-giving, how you can use e-giving on the website, how you can use e-giving on an app, what are the options that we have that we can share with our members so they can continue returning the tithe and offerings at this time. Because a lot of our members, they want to express the gratitude to God through continue being faithful to him, and also believing that God is in control of their lives to the point that they know they can continue being faithful to God, and God is still going to provide them with everything they need. And I can say that because when I got married almost 12 years ago, I lost my job, and my husband, Everton, had to look after the finances at home. And at the end of the day, we couldn't meet our finances. Was always missing money, always. And it was extremely hard for us, to the point that we couldn't pay our bills, and got to a point that I didn't have enough food in my cabinet. And I praise God for the Sydney Portuguese church that found out that we didn't have what to eat anymore, that they went and did a big shopping for us and brought to my house. And for me, it was an answer to my prayers. Then now I have bills like water, gas, and arriving, and I don't have the money. And somehow from nowhere, somebody calls me and say, Patricia, I heard that you're looking for a job. Can you translate this website from English to Portuguese, Portuguese to English? Couldn't even speak English properly at that time. And God was so good that when I finished doing that job was enough to pay my bills. But then we couldn't afford to live by ourselves, and we came to live with my in-laws. And it continued really hard because now my husband became an LE, literature evangelist. And if you know what is this work, it's very hard, it's very tough. You don't have much support. And got to a point that we were struggling even living with my in-laws. And then one day we were praying and asking God for money to pay our bills. And somehow at Flight Center, when I worked for Flight Center, one of my clients, she came to me and said, Patricia, I don't believe in God, but somehow in my heart, I believe that I need to give you $600. And $300. And she gave me $300. And someone at my local church said that he was praying as well, and God put in his heart to give me $600. So I want to tell you, it's not hard, it's not easy the times that we're living right now. I have been through that. I have lost my job. My husband has lost his job. I know what is not having food in your cabinets. I know seeing all your bills arrive and not being able to pay for these bills. And at the time, we couldn't even count on Centrelink. And it was extremely hard and tough for us because I was a student, so I couldn't have Centrelink. And my husband, he was working, so I couldn't get any support from the government. And when he was working as early, he can't get any support because he's working somehow. But God has never forsaken us. And every time when we most needed God, that's when he was there for us. And that's what I want to encourage you as a treasurer. I'm not sure what you are going through right now. I'm not sure what your members are going through now. But some of them is going to look for you and ask you for counsels and ask you for words of encouragement. And I want to say to you, encourage them. Help them to continue being faithful to God and trusting God. Because when we put our lives in God's hands, I can guarantee you, he will deliver us from anything. So here on the chat, I'm going to put you the link for you to access all the resources. And also, I'm going to put like another link shortly that you can download all the Stewardship Resources. Okay, what are the ways that we can continue being faithful to God? First, they can still use e-giving through the website, or they can use the app. Okay, if you don't know how to use the app or the website for e-giving, please contact me or Richard. We are more than happy to teach you how to use the website so you can help your membership. Second, you can also call the conference office and do the donations via the phone with your credit card or your debit card. So this is another option that you can also continue return your tithe and offerings. Another way as well is the tap and go. At the moment, ABC store is closed. So we probably won't go with the tap and go because the schools also are not encouraging people to get to the schools. So that probably is going to be one of the options that we're not going to go ahead with. But the other option is you can send a check to the conference office and the finance department can still process those deposits. And if they feel comfortable in just doing the direct deposit, can be to your local church, you can encourage that, or they can also do through direct to the conference office. When they call the conference office to donate via credit card or debit card via the phone, we are going to honor your local church because I know how important it is for the offering to continue being contributed to the local churches. A lot of our local churches, they still have loans, they still have bills to pay, and I know it is important for the money to come in for you to continue paying all the bills that are arriving at your local church. Some of you are renting the building, and you also need to encourage your members to continue paying for their rent when necessary. Some of you have Bible workers that are doing an amazing job, and you want to continue supporting the Bible workers. So it is important to continue to returning our tithe and offerings because it's important for the local church. So we are going to honor, if they call the conference office, we are going to honor the local church. We are going to process the donations via e-giving website. So we can choose your local church as an option, and then we can process tithe and offerings under your local church name. Website says the same. If they mail the check to us and they say, I'm part of Concord Church, we are going to honor that donation under the Concord Church church. And if they do a direct deposit, they can also contact the conference and say, I have done a direct deposit and I want my offering and my tithe to go to my local church. We will honor your local church. So these are some options that you can share with your local members for them to continue return tithe and offerings. And also helping the Sabbath school it's not just to help and support your local church, but also the local church around the world. So I want to ask you, do you have any questions in regards to options and the usage of e-giving? Please unmute your microphone if you want to speak or say anything.
Or lift up the hands. Or lift up the hands. That's the other alternative, is it?
Yes, you can do because even sharing his screen, it's hard at the moment for me to see who is putting the hand.
So Patricia, let me facilitate this.
Okay.
So I think Julio, did you have a question?
Yes, it's in relation, Miley. Some people, they prefer to give the treasurer a call. And we've been thinking to do it this way. If they gather the tithings and offerings on a special day, they can give us a call. And once we are ready to collect that particular offerings and tithing, what we can do is give them a call. At a certain time, we're going to be at your place. It's mainly for the elderly. I'm not referring to the average guy that they can do through the even or the other system. Now, I have tried to with a couple of members of our church. So they tell me, look, you can pick up the money at my place. I'll give them a call and I tell them, look, I'll be there as soon as I arrive. You know, you can put the money at the front, and that's it. And I pick up the money, or my assistant pick up the money. And once we got the money, we say, look, this is the amount of money that is in the envelope. We leave it now. That is one of the alternatives that we find it's practical in a way.
Yes, it's a practical. I just ask you to just make sure you follow the procedures, because you know sometimes the people put $50 in the envelope, and then when you open it's only $40. Somehow they got mistaken thinking that put 50. So find ways to make sure. Why,
Patricia.
Yes.
Is why before we leave the premises we say, look, the amount that is in the envelope is this much. Are you okay with that? And they say, okay. Yes, I'm okay with that. And if they're okay with that, you know, we continue our journey.
Perfect. Because I just to make sure that no one's going to doubt what you have done. And in the future, you're going to be in trouble because they think that you have not performed the right way with the money they have contributed to the church.
Richard, did you have a comment to make on that process?
Yes, Julio, one variation on that is that you could know that this is an issue for some people, but for example, I go to our church every Monday afternoon and I'm there for 2 hours, and people can come and they can make a donation there, they can leave a donation there. We also encourage them to come along with their welcome pamphlets and their records, etc. Some people are quite comfortable in doing that, they're quite comfortable going out, but some people aren't. And so, you know, we have, if you have the capacity to visit those people, then, you know, that's an excellent way to do it. But if you think there are some people who may prefer just to come to a certain location, well, that's another option. Now, for us here, you know, at the conference, our problem is we simply don't know the people that aren't on email, that are reluctant to use e-giving, that all the time we keep loading things on websites and emailing out. These people are missing. As you indicated, quite often it's elderly people, and they're just, for whatever reason, not comfortable. So I think one of the particular things we'd like to achieve in today's call is that really we are reliant on you, the local treasurers and pastors and treasury teams, to know the people that we can't reach through the email and through the websites, to know the people that pay their tithes every week for cash. And we have to rely on you to get that message to them, because we can't do it. If everybody was on email, that would be fine, but we know that there are many people that aren't. So one of the things we'd like you to do is sit down with a list of people that normally give by cash.
Excuse me, Richard, could you speak up a little bit louder? It's quite faint. Yeah.
Actually, I thought I was talking quite loud.
No.
So yeah, sit down with your receipts and have a look at the people that are regularly paying by cash, and see if you can work out a way to contact them. Maybe talk to the clerk, have a look in your own phone, maybe you've got their phone number. Maybe you can put together some sort of group SMS that you can send out.
Yeah.
In particular, Julio, if you work out, well, this is the day that I'm going to do my rounds, etc., you can tell them that, and so on. But, you know, in many, many ways, we are absolutely totally reliant on the local people for those folks who aren't on email or don't have access to the web, and you need to talk to them.
Can I just reiterate what Richard has said? You see, in our conference, we have about 40% of our regular faithful people who are members who are tithing via e-giving. Then we have another group of people who are employees of the various Adventist institutions and have their tithe taken out of their salaries. And so we capture that tithe as well. But there's about 30 or 35% of our membership that are returning their tithe through cash. Like dropping filling out an envelope, a tithe envelope, and putting it in the offering collection every Sabbath. And it's those people that we're quite concerned about. I mean, to ensure that they are faithful in their return of tithe. And I think you as treasurers are the only ones, other than the conference, know who these members are. And I think it's really important that we help and assist those members to continue with their faithfulness in returning tithe. And it might mean, as Richard says, trying to contact them by telephone or visiting them, or even if it's a simple matter of sending them a little card. And we are printing those little cards that I showed you previously. We are printing those cards, and we are also translating them in all the languages that our churches are worshiping. So, Patricia, what languages are we translating them?
We are translating them Fijian, Ghanaian, Portuguese, Spanish, Tongan, Samoans, Chinese, and PNG.
So if there's a language we haven't captured, you need to let us know, and we will get the little card translated for you, and we will give them out to you so that you can either drop them off at your local at your member's house, or you can mail it to them. It's really imperative. It's really, really imperative that you help and assist our members in doing this. Now, some of us, it's not our nature to be outgoing, to approach people to do that. And Richard has prepared a little script to help you in the type of words that you can say to help our members be faithful in their giving. Does anyone have a question about any of that?
Yes, Eva.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm Father from Liverpool Samoan Church.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you very much for this kind of. It's my first time I use this one. I appreciate this one. I need this one. Learn more about this one. Thank you, because since this one, before this one, we had a plan. Liverpool had a plan. So what we're doing so far, like what you mentioned about those who are willing to give up tithe. So should I call this one a regular people? They normally give tithe every day. We'll not leave them alone.
Yeah.
Yes. We do the plan. Because they are stay living far away. We had a small group. The leader of that small group will collect that offering from there. Then I myself, or assistant leader, and the head elder will collect that one. Then we bank, like what we did yesterday. I think that's the first time we do that one. But it's sometimes really hard for the people to get that one today. But we try very hard for the church member to be part in the e-giving.
Yes.
The best way to do
e-giving is the best way, and because I'm very concerned about visiting people, especially because I'm not sure whether it's legal or not to actually go and visit people. I think if you're by yourself and there's a legitimate reason, then you can. But I think these days you've just got to be very, very careful. And e-giving really is the best way. And as Richard and Julio said, if you are collecting cash, make sure that a receipt is given at the time that that it is the right amount. Otherwise, I don't want, we've got to make sure we have good controls in place, particularly when we collect cash. I saw Peter's hand go up. Peter, did you want to say something?
Yes, you mentioned the exercise of informing the people of the e-giving, and I've tried to do that at Windsor, but we don't have a big uptake. Do you have a small handbill that you could send me, and I'll be more than happy to print that up and take that around to the various people as we visit? Also, you mentioned about, one of the previous folk mentioned that if there's a problem with what's put in the envelope, we have the practice of immediately phoning that person and letting them know that the count is different. If it's not different, we just go ahead and do the receipting. Thank you.
So Peter, I've just shared with you the handbill that we are doing, which gives all the alternate ways, including e-giving, that in our conference we're able to give. So it could be as simple, if then they don't have the computer skills, they can simply, they can also go to our Epping ABC store. Even though it's closed, if you go around the back, I think Michael said that he is making the store open.
That's it.
Sorry. Making that available to people as well. But all of those things, if they want to give their credit card number over the phone, someone at the conference office can also accept a credit card, details as well on the phone. But the safest way is really e-giving, because e-giving you can it's set and forget. So it's the simplest way to do it, and you can also very safely give to your offering of the week as well on e-giving, and that's why we really do want to promote e-giving. Now, in the 2 weeks that we have closed our churches, our e-giving has actually gone up, but not significantly more, but it has gone up. Now, I think Mike, did you want to say something?
Yes, thanks, Eva. Two things. First of all, can this pamphlet thing we've got up on the screen at the moment, can that be put in the resources so that we can download it and print it off and send it ourselves?
I think it has been. Patricia, did you want to comment?
On the link that I put it on the chat, the last link, if you look at the link.
Disciples.com.au.
Yes, on the resources, Church at Home and Stewardship. I put exactly the link if you click. Yep. That we have this option, and it's under the Greater Sydney Conference, because they have done one of these for every single conference. That is, our one is there for Greater Sydney Conference. You can download for that. But I'm happy as well to send to you a copy to your email.
Okay, fine.
But all the resources that we have created, we have a video teaching people how to use a website, the app, and a lot of promotional materials. You can find all of them in this link. Okay. You click there and you can find everything there. But I also gonna order some in different languages, and I'm happy to send to your local church. Just let me know how many copies of this card that you want, in which language you want, and we can send it to you as well.
The second question is this, following on from what was mentioned earlier. If I'm approached by someone because they haven't got access to the internet, and they approach me directly to put tithes and offerings in through the e-giving website, is it best that I really redirect them to the conference phone number and let it go through the conference rather than me do it on their behalf?
Yes, it's probably best that we do it that way, because we want to do this with integrity, particularly around setting up a person's e-giving account. We don't want to know their password, for example. There's no reason why you can't help someone set an e-giving account as long as you don't know their password. Mm-hmm. And they keep that to themselves, but they need to have some familiarity with working on a computer, because I think you've got to be able to, they need to be in control of their own finances. You can't do that. I mean, it's quite okay for you to give them this information. They can ring, if they can ring the number, to give a donation over the phone. That kind of thing can definitely be done.
You would have to register them there, though, wouldn't you? If you were to give them a receipt in their name.
No, that's not necessary. You don't have to be registered to get the receipt in your name.
Right.
You have to be registered if you yourself want to be able to revisit the site and reprint the receipt. So
Right.
one-off transactions, you don't have to register. So you don't have to know people's passwords or anything like that.
Right.
However, we would probably say to you, if we can manage to get people to register, it will be better for them because they can set up recurring donations.
Exactly.
So,
I was under the impression that if you didn't register, then anything you gave, just by putting in the donations and then at the end having to fill out credit card or banking details, it'd be recorded as an anonymous.
it's recorded as anonymous in terms of the TORS system, and so you, the treasurer, you do not know who it is, but it is emailed to the person who made the donation, and it includes their name.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Some people may not have email. Some of the elderly may not have email. So they have to go out by mail, I guess.
Yeah, so when you are doing e-giving, you get an opportunity to say, view the receipt. So you can view the receipt and you can print it straight away.
Okay.
The other alternative is if you're doing it on behalf of somebody else, you can send it to your own email and you can reprint it from your email. None of that gives you information about their password or access to their account.
Well, that's right.
Like that. So it's quite secure from that point of view.
That's right. Well, entering it that way, if you're not logging in at all, there's no need for a password.
No, there's none.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a question.
Okay, Christopher.
Yeah.
What's your name?
I'm actually Lizzie from Cabramatta, Fijian. I don't know how my grandson's name's up on the screen. My question is, e-giving is quite new for us. There's very few that's on e-giving at the moment. I've just had a look at the e-giving, in the system. What I find is the tithe is quite clear. The local church budget is okay with us. The divine offering and the weekly church offering, those three offerings are quite clear. However, most of our members, they do the special offering for church building, which is not available in the list.
Okay, so let me interrupt there, Lisa. All you have to do is tell me which ones you want, and I make sure that they're there.
Okay,
so,
wonderful, yeah.
Basically, TORS feeds e-giving, and so we need to create the account or put the settings in the account in TORS to allow it to be displayed. So you just email me the ones that you're worried about, or independently, I can have a look. I can make them all available.
Okay, wonderful. Yep, that's good. That's good.
Christopher, also any church
Listen, not Christopher.
Sorry. All the churches that are struggling, like they're not used to use e-giving, or if you haven't used for yourself the e-giving before, please send me an email. Richard, everyone at Finance Department has my email. I can put it here at the chat as well. And I'm more than happy to train you and show you. And if you want, we can have a meeting with your local church as well. And I can teach everyone to do it together.
Electronic.
You mean on the Zoom? To do it in a Zoom?
Zoom, yes. To train all your local church how to use e-giving.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. Wonderful. I've actually tried, and it's quite easy for me. But I'm talking on behalf of the others. A lot of elderly, who are quite faithful tithe givers. They've given us it's too hard. So I'm just trying the best we can to be able to get the tithe. And one of the guys suggested collecting at the door, which is quite good. But I think if we go through this with them, I'm sure they'll be able to, or their daughter or someone can guide them through when they do that.
I really do want to promote the e-giving app. A lot of people, we're getting most of our donations on e-giving on the e-giving website and not on the app. The app is actually very easy to use. You just go to your iPhone store, or if you have an Android, you go to the Android store where you get your apps. It's a free app. It goes any smartphone can use it, and you can just you can just give that way, and it's very, very easy to give through the e-giving app. Just for those of you who are new to Zoom and you can't see the chat, if you go down to the bottom of your screen, chat, there's a whole bunch of little icons at the bottom. Chat is the one next to the share screen. And if you click on the chat screen, you'll see that on the sidebar, you'll see the chat come up, and you can, Patricia has put her email address and some links, which has all the useful materials and resources for stewardship and e-giving. So please try and have a look at that. If you still can't find it, because I knew this is all new, this is new technology, it's new technology for me too. If you still can't find it, just let us know afterwards through an email or and just say, I didn't get all that information, and we will send you the links as well. So all that is on the side on your chat, and make sure you have a look at that. Now, I'm just going to go through the room and see if anybody has any questions. If you have a question, just unmute and just say you have a question.
I just wanted to say, this is More Blessing from Holroyd. I just wanted to say to Patricia, could you kindly send the email to pretty much most of us regarding the information for the links of how to give, for phone calls and all that kind of stuff?
I think that's a great idea, More Blessing. I think we can do that. Richard sent, obviously you all got the email from Richard inviting you to this meeting, and that was very good. So we will send that to all of you. Now, if you want, we are assuming that you are the current treasurers of your local church. If there's other people that you want to be in this group, please let us know as well. We only know what we know because people tell us, and sometimes people don't tell us when there's changes at the local church. So just let us know. We've been dialoguing with all the pastors as well, to talk to all our pastors, and also for them to encourage you in what you do in your reaching out to your local members, to your local church members, and your pastor is a great resource. The only thing that I do ask that you be very careful about is the privacy around some of the privacy issues around e-giving. I mean, sorry, around tithe. There's some people who don't want their names, and some churches are more private about the members who are donating and recording their their tithe information, and they don't want that out. But there's some churches that are more, I guess, more transparent about who is tithing and who is, and that kind of thing. If your pastor can help you with contacting your members, by all means, talk to your pastor and see whether, they can help you or support you. In some of you may have teams of treasury in your treasury. You have a treasury team and you have assistant treasurers. They can also help you in contacting members or helping them, continue their faithfulness in giving their tithes and also their offerings. Now, some of you have, local building funds, and some of you have already started or have a building that you want to support. Then, the faithfulness of your members is also very, very important to your local church. Are there any other questions about tithes and offerings and giving? Or do any of you have any suggestions on what's working in your local church that you can share with the group? Okay, Peter again.
Yeah, made them out. Richard mentioned before that the various funds and offerings will come up on the e-giving site. At the moment, people want to give to the various funds that we've set up. I'm just wondering if Richard's been able to get that going. So when they go on the e-giving site, they'll see those funds.
Peter, I will. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'm trying to remember if I actually have done it for your church already. I think so, but I'll check later on and let you know.
I understand you might be a little bit busy at the moment, so I'm not jumping up and down. Thanks, guys. Much appreciated for the discussion.
I just want to, yeah. Hi, everybody. This is Caroline here.
Yes, Caroline.
I would just like to share what I have been doing with my local church, the Sydney Cook Islands SCA Church. This week, I've been sending out a text message, giving them 2 options on how to return their tithe and offerings. And option 1 being e-giving, of course. And the second option was for them to use net bank, because a lot of them are very familiar with doing net banking. They have their bank apps on their phones and so forth. And to just do a net banking or direct deposit, those who do not have internet access, go to the bank and just deposit into our local account. And then for them to message me the breakdown of their deposit. And then I just enter all those details in tools and email them their receipt. And for them that do not have an email, I just tell them that I'll hold the receipt on the system and it will be available to them once the suspension is lifted. And so far, it has been working this week. So a lot of them will get paid tomorrow. So I guess I'll just have to wait for of that message that I send out to the members. And a lot of them has appreciated that they'll be able to just deposit into the local account.
Caroline, when you say
yes,
it's a local account.
Yeah, we have another account, not the CMF, just another.
Okay. And so.
And then once they deposit in that local account, then I, myself and the other signatory on the account would do the transfer to CMF.
Okay. So now, one of the things to remember is some people, and in some churches, people do make direct credits to their CMF account. Despite the fact that we might tell them, all too often they fail to include the necessary information to allow us to identify.
Yeah, no, I don't tell them to deposit into CMF. No, not at all.
I know, but I'm talking now to everyone who may have people doing that.
Okay.
First thing to say is they must quote, if you do it, they must quote that 6-digit number off your deposit slip. It's absolutely essential. Secondly, they must send you an advice to say what they have done, because despite what they say, quite often they leave off the reference information and the deposits they go into their unidentified bucket and they can sit there forever because we don't know how much it is, or when it was paid, or what the breakdown is. So it's tempting sometimes to get people to use the CMF account, but it comes with a really, really big warning. You must do those 2 things. You must quote the 6-digit number and they must let you know what the details are. Until they do that, we can't guarantee the funds will get into your account. Now, I wanted to also mention a couple of other things. First of all, if you are taking people's credit card information and putting it into e-giving, that's fine, but you are not allowed to retain that credit card information. So you've got somebody on the phone and you're putting into e-giving, you put it into e-giving, you don't write it down. If you do happen to write it down, you tear it up afterwards. If you can't tear it up, you score it out so it's unreadable. We are not, by law, allowed to retain that information. The e-giving, the front end of the e-giving and the security end of the e-giving is actually managed by Westpac. And Westpac have the necessary security measures in place that comply with the law. So that information is stored, and it's stored quite securely. But we can't keep it ourselves. Okay? Just a quick mention, if your church happens to be distributing the email by, distributing their bulletin by email, include the link for e-giving in that bulletin. If you are live streaming your service, put up in the corner a link to e-giving, specifically for your church, so that people can click on it at the time. Some more advanced live streaming, when it comes to the offering, they pause, they direct you to the link, and they play a bit of music to allow people to donate at that time. So, there's just a couple of other suggestions.
Thank you, Richard. Did you have any other suggestions that you wanted to make for the rest of the group?
Yes, so as I just said, e-giving is fed from TORs. So whether or not you're a church that uses TORs or not, e-giving is fed from TORs. So you want to get e-giving up to date, you've got to get your TORs up to date. If you go to your e-giving site and you see the information is not correct, send me an email and I'll get it fixed. Some things you can fix yourselves, but just send me an email and I'll do the updating for you. That includes information about telephone numbers, websites, as well as if you go to the e-giving and you see, well, one of the offerings that you want to be there isn't there, tell me about it and I'll make sure that it gets there. In TORs, you have to do certain things to expose the accounts to e-giving. They're fairly basic, but you have to do them, and I can do that for you. And I can also explain to you how to do it so you can do it for yourself in future. So really, any problems you see with e-giving, come back to me about. Oh, and there's one last thing. I would just ask all of you to send your reports. Send early, send often. You can get all the e-giving you like, but until you close your period, we don't know about it, or we can't see it. So really, our ambition is that all the churches close by the 10th of the month. We seldom get meeting churches meeting that day. So we really want you to work hard at trying to close as early as practical. Because as you might appreciate, there's a lot going on. We're trying to do all these things, and it takes time to do all of the work. And so if you're struggling with closing and you need help, ask for it, and we'll help you to get the close done. And if I email you and ask you for some information, please do what you can to get that back to me as quickly as practical.
I think that's a really a good message from Richard, in that we really do rely on every one of you to close your period as quickly as soon as possible in the next year, because we simply can't process the tithes and offerings until you do complete your monthly records, your monthly report. And it's important for us to do that. Otherwise, the tithe just sits at the local church, and it is actually a risk, because it's quite possible that the tithe funds can be used for other purposes, and that's not what we want. We want to ensure that the tithe goes to where it was meant to go to. I'm very conscious that we've spent nearly an hour on this issue, and I just want to talk about a few other things that might be applicable to all of you or may not be applicable to you. Now, some of your churches have cleaners and you are paying them through our conference. So the conference payroll, they're part of the conference payroll. That is actually the preferred method. We would prefer that you do pay your cleaners through the conference payroll. In that way, we make sure that everything is done above board, and that the appropriate appropriate deductions are made, the tax deductions are made, that they are properly looked after as employees. It is quite, it's not recommended that you pay them in cash, and I know some of you do that. Having said that, you need to let us know now that the churches are closed, what's happening with your cleaners. So if you are still retaining your cleaners and you are paying them through the conference, you need to let us know whether you've changed their hours or you have kept them the same, because we cannot know what we don't know. We don't know what we don't know. We can't presume or make assumptions that you aren't paying your cleaners, or your cleaners are only coming once a fortnight instead of every week. So you need to let us know if there's any changes to your cleaners. Now, speaking of cleaners, is there any questions about that first? I'll stop there and ask if there's any questions about your cleaners. No, I don't see any hands up, so I've got to scroll twice that way because there's 74 people and I've only got, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, I've only got 20 people on a screen. Anyway, so I just want to also talk about JobKeeper, because today the legislation for JobKeeper was passed. We are still not sure whether the conference can apply for JobKeeper, because we're not sure about whether we meet the income threshold. So we're just still doing that. But if we do apply for JobKeeper, then no matter how much any staff member who was a staff member on March 1 is eligible for the $1,500 per fortnight. So that means if you had cleaners on our payroll on 1 March, then they are eligible for $1,500 a fortnight, even if you're only paying them $100 a week. So you might want to think about that, because we will simply be paying all our staff, including your cleaners, if they're on our payroll, the $1,500 a fortnight. And if there's things that you want them to do that is more than what they're currently doing, then that's something you need to think about if you have cleaners on our payroll. I just wanted to let you know about that in case you did. The next thing I wanted to talk about is loans. Now, some of your churches have loans. I think we've got about a dozen or so churches that have loans, or and there's 3 kinds of loans. There's loans that you have with us, the conference, and there's only a very few of you, 1 or 2 of you. There's loans that you have with the South Pacific Division in the DCCMF, the CMF fund, and those are loans that were for 10 years. And then there are those of you, there's 2 churches that have loans with Westpac. Now, you need to let me know if your church is struggling with making those loan repayments. If they are struggling with loan repayments, then you need to let me know, because Westpac I've already approached Westpac. They said they're willing to give payment freezes. So for the next 6 months, you don't have to make a payment, but the interest will still accrue. With the division, if you have a division loan, they haven't said anything. And I think what they have said to me is that they will look at it on a case-by-case basis. So if you have a loan with the division and you want a payment freeze, you need to let me know, because we will apply for your church for that payment freeze. So these are just some of the things that we want to help you with in your local churches if you have any issues with cash flow. a couple of other announcements. Because of the coronavirus issue, and there's a significant, we're very concerned about the level of funding that the conference has. So this year, if you're planning on doing any major maintenance, we are probably not going to support, we're probably not going to give the 15% grant on major maintenance or building projects that we have in the past, because this year we are really going to be watching our pennies. Okay, so I've got a question from Rebecca. We have a casual cleaner who gets paid $138 per fortnight. Is she eligible for the JobKeeper subsidy? Rebecca, if she's paid by the conference office and she was employed by us on 1 March, and if we are eligible for the JobKeeper scheme, then yes, your cleaner would get $750 a week, which is significantly more than $138. This is exactly the situation I'm thinking of, that I wanted to let you know about, because with that kind of windfall gain, you might want to ask your cleaner to do some other tasks around the church to earn that money. Now, as far as I know, and the final legislation hasn't really, it's only just been passed, like literally an hour or so ago. I haven't seen the latest, all the details, but as far as I know, it's a minimum of $750 a week per person. If they're casual, or whether they are permanent, or whether they are part-time, whether they're on maternity leave, they will get that payment. Yes, but it only has to be, Natalie says, but it must be for working for us as a primary employer. So this has to be their primary source of income. If they're getting JobKeeper allowance from another, from their main job, then they won't be getting it from us. So we will have to find out whether that is the case. Okay, so any other questions? I don't see any questions. Okay, so really do encourage you all to get in touch with your church members, to help them if they are finding it difficult to return their tithes, or to give their offerings, or to make donations, because our churches still need to run, especially for those of you who have a building that you're paying off. Your churches still need to run, and the electricity bill still needs to be paid. So it's important that you do keep in touch with your members, so that they do continue to make those donations. There's one other thing. Now, most of your churches, as I understand, are live streaming. Put up your hands if your church is live streaming. So most of your churches are live streaming. And if they're not, you need to really ask, why are they not live streaming? Because they should be live streaming. And if your church doesn't have the technical know-how, please let me know, because we will connect you with people who have got the technical expertise to help you live stream your sermons. Now, when you have live streaming in your churches, make sure that you do put up promotional material, or the offering videos, or how to give, like in the resources that Patricia has put in that link in disciple.org. Make sure you do give time and space for people to do their donations. So, run the video for a minute or so, or put up a slide showing how to give for a minute or so that people have time to go and bring out their little e-giving apps, or go online to egiving.org, so that they can give. But it's important that we do promote the offering. And just like if you're doing a live streaming service, you know, we have at least 5 minutes in the service for offering. So there should be that kind of time and space in your live streaming program so that people can give and be generous, because, you know, it is part of our worship, and we need to continue this really essential part of our worship to God. Okay, now I'm just checking here on the screen from Mike. Okay, it's from Rebecca. A few church members are dropping their tithe to my house and to our church pastor. When I get them, I quickly issue a receipt and text or email a copy of their receipt to ensure that they know it's been processed. Can we advertise this platform if convenient to church members? Yes, we should. I mean, this is on a church by church basis. If you, as the treasurer, are happy for your members to come in or drop in those envelopes, as if they live close by and they're not breaking any isolation rules, then, you know, then let's offer that as a little service. Or as Richard does, Richard has a little booth at his church every week. Is it, Richard? Yes, every week. You're on mute. Hang on, Richard. I'll unmute you. Okay.
Yes, that's right. I go there from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock on a Monday. I set things out on the veranda and I sit inside and we shout at each other through the door, and we observe all the rules. It's clear that some people are not comfortable in leaving their homes, and so they don't come, and so they giving. But I've had a few people come and deliver a cash tithe that way.
Thank you. I think one of the simplest options for people who are not computer savvy or don't want to leave their home is simply to call the conference office, or, you know, and make their donations that way as well. So that is a very easy option if they're not willing to. I mean, if they're not able to come to your church, or if you're not able to provide that church. If you're not able to provide that service from your local church. Okay, I'm just so thankful that you all stayed through and found this and stayed for this whole meeting. You know, I think this is such a useful, you know, we've learned a lot of things about since this coronavirus period, and we're finding that Zoom is an incredibly easy way to meet. I mean, we've had 74 people here in our meeting this evening, and you didn't have to leave, you know, you didn't have to drive an hour to the conference office and then drive an hour back. And so I think what we'll do is from time to time, when we have any announcements that we want to make, or anything we want to share, we'll have these Zoom meetings, because it's such an easy and convenient way to come. So
Eva, I would hope that we could do some training on that basis as well.
Oh, 100%. We will definitely do training now that we've become very, very familiar with Zoom, and we've managed, and we've all had now a taste of Zoom. I think this is something we can definitely do. Okay, so thank you very much.
I just sent an email to Richard with all the resources that it's available for you, not just for stewardship and e-giving, but also for other ministries. And he'll pass it on as well, my email address, to all of you. And as I said, please contact me. More than happy to train you with e-giving. And even if with Zoom, if you want to use Zoom to contact your members and have meetings with them. I have been training pastors today. I spent almost 3 hours. John Wells was with me, Daniel Shong. We spent 3 hours on training today for Zoom, here to support you and to help you and train you in anything I can. And Richard, I'm sure he's more than happy to support your church and train your church in anything he needs. Please send us an email. We're here to support and encourage you through this time.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. And in closing, I'm going to ask Deanne if she would like to say the closing prayer. I've just unmuted you, Deanne. Oh.
Okay. Yeah, just before I say our final prayer, I just wanted to thank each of you for meeting with us tonight online. I really appreciate that. And I also wanted to just thank you all for your willingness and faithfulness as church treasurers. You're very much appreciated, and the work that you do is very valued by our conference team. So I just wanted to say that. And just before we close now, if you could all just bow your heads with me and we'll just finish with a word of prayer. Dear Father in heaven, I want to thank you that we've been able to meet together this evening as a church conference team and as treasurers, and to be able to discuss ways that we've been able to stay faithful to you and to facilitate the church community during this time. I want to pray, Lord, for your continued leading and your guidance and your wisdom and your strength at this time. It's been a very challenging time, but I just want to pray that during this time that the church members will continue to be strengthened and to draw closer to you. And I just want to pray that you'll go with us as we leave this meeting tonight, and that your presence and blessings will go with us as well. In your name, amen.
Thank you, Deanne. Thank you, everyone, for coming. And I hope you found this meeting useful. And we will meet again, if not virtually here, face to face.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.